Welcome back, my friends, to another episode of the Artful Gourmet podcast. I'm Kristen Hess, chef, food stylist, photographer, writer, and lifelong believer that passion isn't just something we feel, it's something we build, nurture, and direct towards a meaningful purpose. Today's episode is all about turning passion into purpose, literally spelling out the word passion as an acronym for the 7 pillars I developed that can transform your creativity, your career, your energy, and your life. This is one of my favorite topics because it's how I've shaped my own journey through my passion for food, photography, storytelling, and the desire to help people feel warmth, comfort, beauty, and inspiration at their own table and in their lives through my lens. First off, you guys know I just got back from Miami, South Beach, for a whole week. I was actually there for a filming of my episode in a new documentary called Women in Power that's going to be on all the streaming platforms early 2026. Really exciting opportunity, fell in my lap. I had to audition for it and it just all worked out and it was super fun and super inspiring. But the reason I want to talk about passion today is because I was also there for a marketing mastermind conference that was full of the entire cast and crew from all of the shows with Inside Success TV. They have all different shows, documentaries about entrepreneurs, small business people, and Women in Power is just one of them that is a new show. So anyway, I was there with like thousands of people and they were all entrepreneurs, small business people. And we learned so much from Rudy Maurer, who heads up the whole Inside Success network, and his crew, other cast members. And it was just a room full of hundreds of people, other successful entrepreneurs and small business people that were so passionate about what they do that it really just leveled up my passion for what I do even more. And so that's why I want to talk about it today, because having that passion and fire, that's what is going to take you to the next level in your life and your business. And it's also going to help you develop a sense of purpose in your life, right? So like I said, I'm going to be teaching you guys a 7-step framework that I just developed the other day based on passion and what makes up passion and how can you turn that into purpose in your life. So let's dive in. The first topic, spelling out passion, is the letter P for purpose. There's a quote by Mark Twain that I love, and it says, "The 2 most important days in your life are the day you were born and the day you find out why." Purpose is where everything starts. Purpose is the heartbeat, and it's the reason you get up in the morning. It's the anchor, your North Star. Purpose doesn't have to be dramatic or world-shattering. It simply has to be yours, authentic, aligned with what gives you energy, what keeps you curious, and what keeps you coming back again and again. So when I discovered my purpose, it wasn't overnight. It actually came slowly, and it revealed itself through food. I mentioned to you guys back in 2007, I was working at a huge ad agency in New York. And I always loved food, right? Loved the Food Network, Rachel Ray Show, loved food magazines, but I never thought about it as a career. So I started taking cooking classes, which eventually led to food photography classes, vlogging, food styling. And then I took a 3-day workshop at the Institute of Culinary Education, read a book called Culinary Careers by Rick Smilo, who's the president of the culinary school. I read it from cover to the end within like an hour or two. And it was all about these case studies of what are your different career options once you graduate from culinary school. And I was so inspired by all the stories that were in there and very curious about what were my different options, right? If I really want to go into food, which I'm so passionate about, how can I make this a career? So when I took that food styling and photography workshop, that was my aha moment. And I knew that was my passion. And it was a way for me to turn that passion into a career. I was already doing design and creative as a career, but now turning that into another career into food styling and photography, I knew it was my purpose. I knew it was what I wanted to do. I loved how food photography allowed me to capture emotion and color and tell stories through setting up a scene of food. And I loved how writing connected everything together into my blog, The Artful Gourmet, as a place to celebrate the art of food and cooking through colorful stories, recipes, and photography. That was my original tagline. And I also loved how helping others feel that warmth and comfort and inspiration in my passion through food. That is my purpose now, is to share that, the storytelling, the food, the warmth, the inspiration of everything that I'm doing. I want to help other people feel that too. So purpose gives your passion direction. Without purpose, passion burns out fast. It might burn hot, but it burns out fast. And with purpose, it becomes a steady flame that lights your path. The next step is A, for alignment. When your intentions are clear, so is the path, says Oprah Winfrey, my hero. Alignment is where dreams turn into daily action. And it's making sure that your choices, small and large, actually support the purpose that you say you want. It's building goals that point towards your purpose, not away from it. And you need to ask yourself, does the way I spend my time reflect where I want to go? Do my habits support my mission or distract from it? Aligning my business goals with my purpose. When I first started, I kind of wanted to do everything. And I wasn't really sure exactly what my purpose was yet, but I knew that I wanted to create beautiful visuals and really just get immersed into food and tell stories and do photography and share that with the world. So everything that I've done from when I started my business in 2012 up until now, everything I do every day is always aligned towards my purpose and my passion and what I want to do in the future. I wanted Artful Gourmet 2.0 that just relaunched to be a new version of my brand and my business. I wanted to be in front of the camera this time around. So what did I do? I started a podcast. How did I start a podcast? I learned how to do it, bought the equipment I needed, learned how to write a podcast, how to edit it, and I work on that every week, right? I've been coming out with one podcast episode every single week, except for last week because I was in Miami, but that's one of my goals. The other goal, YouTube channel, starting a new show, a new mini series. Actually, I have several ideas that I want to do, but the first step you need to do is figure out what is your purpose and then align the things that you do every single day, even if it's one or two things that you accomplish that day. Make a list. What are your goals this week, next week, 3 months, 6 months? This is something Rudy talked about, right? Having a SMART goal system, writing it down, having a vision board, and make sure that every single thing you do is aligning with your purpose and your outcome and your goals. So just remember, alignment is where clarity becomes momentum. It's action. And that's how I built my brand, with intention instead of randomness. Having a plan, coming up with a strategy, taking small steps to hit that goal every single day. It's not going to happen overnight, and that's okay. Rome wasn't built in a day. But if you take those little small steps and be aligned and clear on where you want to go and what your purpose and passion are, it's going to happen for you. The next one, the letter S, stands for spirit. There's a quote that I love by Arthur Balfour, and it is, "Enthusiasm moves the world." Spirit is that magic ingredient that we add to everything we do. It's soul, it's enthusiasm, it's the energy we bring into a room, a project, a moment, an idea, a business, in your life. You can have incredible skills, but it's your spirit that makes your work unforgettable. So for me, whether I'm styling a recipe, shooting a dish, writing a story, my spirit is my signature. For the photography and styling, it's the cozy light, the pops of color, the natural textures, the warmth of the way the food looks. It's the feeling that my clients have described as appetizing or comforting, like you're sitting at your own kitchen table with the sun streaming through a window. You know, when I first started my business, I didn't really have a style yet. I mean, I knew who I was, but I always was working towards getting that Artful Gourmet spirit into everything that I did. And what does Artful Gourmet mean to me? It's about, like I said, celebrating the art of food and cooking through recipes, stories, photography, and infusing my brand and my personality into all the work that I do. In sharing that with the world, you need to have spirit, be enthusiastic and excited about what you do. And that's going to shine through in your life, in your business, in your brand, and in your work. So, you know, all of that energy and attitude and joy, honestly, I feel like that's why a lot of clients hired me back over and over and over. Some of the major photo shoots that I did was with a PR agency in New York. I did repeat business for them for at least 6 years. I had Arnold Bread. I had Eggland's Best, Chef's Cut. I was invited to restaurant and big blogging events and openings. I worked for KitchenAid for 5-6 years through an agency that I worked at. 7 Barrels. You know, all I'm going to say is 95% of my business was repeat business. Maybe 5 or 10% was new business. But I believe that, truly believe, people hired me because they loved what I did. They loved my enthusiasm, my energy, my work, because they liked me. And I am passionate about what I do and I have that enthusiasm. So those things just elevated the entire experience for not only me, but my clients. And spirit is passion made visible. So just remember that one. So the next letter, S, stands for surprise. Quote by Helen Keller: life is either a daring adventure or nothing at all. Surprise is about wonder, curiosity, and shaking things up. It's about refusing to live on autopilot, and it's letting yourself be amazed again with everyday things. When you invite surprise into your life, you break the norm, you experiment, you play, you explore. As a creative, surprise is where innovation begins. Trying a new lighting technique, a new recipe, a new travel destination, photographing something unexpected or in a different way, and saying yes to opportunities that scare you a little. When I first started food photography, my first year, I told you guys I had 2 big cookbook shoots that landed in my lap through people I knew and through networking, which was amazing. One of them was Pinkalicious Cupcake Cookbook. And this wasn't just a normal cupcake recipe book, okay? This was based on a whole children's series of books called Pinkalicious by Victoria Kahn. And now it's a Broadway show and they have TV show, cartoon on Saturday morning. Huge deal. So it was not normal in that we were building like theater sets almost for specific parts of her books with characters and objects like castles and houses and yards made out of candy and sprinkles. And we had fake grass made out of coconut. This was a big challenge, but you know what? I took the opportunity. I hired the right people to be on my team to make this happen. And we had to improvise, right? I had to bring in some extra lighting people because it was, like I said, this huge set of almost like a 3D theater stage. And we had to improvise. How do we make the lighting look like morning light come in through a window on this big, huge set? It wasn't just shooting a plate of spaghetti in front of a window. This was a big challenge, but we made it work. It came out beautiful. And it was a surprise to everyone. Another thing I talk about, traveling is something that is really important to me, and changing up your everyday view. Even when I used to live in New York, I would blog every single day in front of a laptop. And I'm like, I got to get out. I got to just go see the world. I need to go to an art museum, walk through Central Park, go take a little jog near the water and think, take in the sun, look at the leaves falling, stare at the water, go to a restaurant, have a cup of coffee or a glass of wine and think and meet people and have a new experience. And Surprise, something new, break the norm, get out of your habit, get out of your shell, get out of the same environment. That's going to boost your creativity and that's going to keep your passion alive. Surprise keeps your passion alive. It'll shift your vision. You learn something new. I met so many great people in Miami and learned about different businesses and what they did and how they're growing their business. And it was so inspiring. Miami was amazing. I don't think I've ever experienced Miami like I did over a whole week's time. Just different neighborhoods and food and cultures and meeting people from Italy and super cool people from Australia and sharing stories. It was a whole surprise. And it has opened my mind and my creativity to infuse ideas and infuse my passion to another level and create new ideas. I've already got new ideas for my next cooking video and for my next podcast that I want to talk about just through going somewhere new, meeting new people, sharing ideas and experiences and viewing the beach and exploring, a new neighborhood in Miami and having an awesome Italian dinner with people and lights and music and just experiencing all that was a moment of surprise that has taken my passion for what I do to another level. So the next step, the letter I, stands for innovation. Creativity is intelligence having fun, says Albert Einstein, the genius himself. Innovation is your commitment to growth, to new ideas, new methods, new processes, so that you can create better results over and over again. Innovation is essential in any creative field, and especially in food styling and photography. Trends evolve, techniques advance, technology changes and upgrades, audiences shift, social media changes, algorithms change. Innovation keeps you relevant, inspired, and excited. So some ways that I have innovated in my career are when I first started doing photography, I learned not only the basics of photography, but I started shooting with natural light, which is beautiful and actually one of my favorite ways to shoot food because it's soft, it's engaging, it's warm, it's homey, it's lovely. But I wanted to learn how to do lighting, like artificial lighting. So what did I do? Okay, I bought some tungsten lights. I did a whole photo shoot with tungsten lights and realized not such a great idea. Tungsten lights are hot and food wilts within 3 seconds. We all know that. So what did I do? I'm like, okay, this isn't really working out. So innovate to the next level. I bought some strobes. And you know what I also did? I volunteered to be an intern for a professional photographer, Jill Lotenberg in New York City. I think I did 5 or 6 shoots with her, no pay. And we weren't even shooting food. She shoots people, accountants, lawyers, business people all over New York City. We actually did a shoot for Sandra Lee in her home for her food magazines and her television show. So what was I doing? I was learning from a professional people photographer and location photographer how to do artificial lighting, setting up lighting for a kitchen where you've got a model with food and other areas of the house that need to be lit up, moving her around the entire house for 10 hours in different positions and lighting. And I learned how to do that. And I didn't get paid for it, but I wanted to learn and innovate my lighting techniques to the next level to learn strobes. Because like I said, natural light's gorgeous, but there's going to be times where you're shooting in the basement of a store like I did for Gary No Whole Foods for 6 to 8 weeks. There's no windows. You need lights. Or you go into a restaurant, right? You got to learn how to do lighting for a restaurant in the kitchen. You've got fluorescent lights, which are horrible. So you got to bring in strobes to overpower that lighting in the kitchen. Then you go out to the bar and you've got windows mixed with tungsten lights. I was continually learning different lighting techniques and patterns so that I was able to innovate and grow my business and shoot for different types of people and different projects. Another way you can innovate is learning different software programs, upgrading from Canva to Adobe Lightroom to Capture One, always keeping your skills up to date, learning new editing techniques in Photoshop or whatever. In terms of styling, how to innovate, Check out what the trends are. What's going on out there? Is everything big, beautiful, light, Martha Stewart looking light? Or is it dark and moody? And, depending on your project, experiment a little. Play with different textures, lighting, colors, props. Always keeping yourself innovating and learning something new. Writing. Exploring writing is part of your creative expression. I took a 8 to 10 week professional food writing course with Andrew Smith in New York City at Parsons New School. And not only did I learn how to write for a blog, I learned how to properly write a recipe. I learned how to write articles for magazines. I learned how to write about food history. And in fact, I'm actually published in one of Andrew Smith's books. It's the Oxford Encyclopedia of Food and Drink. And it's a huge deal. I wrote about Scottish American cooking in America. I had never learned about Scottish food before. I had never created any recipes. I did my research. I learned how to write, and I was actually published in a encyclopedia. That's innovating. And then I was, like I said, learning how to write for magazines, and I was published in Downtown Magazine, 3 different print magazines. I learned how to do recipe roundups and write about different restaurants around New York City, pull that together into a story, do the photography, become a journalist. I was hired as a freelance journalist for New York State Restaurant Association, traveled, did stories, did photography, shot events, constantly innovating. I'm not bragging. I'm just saying I was learning how to do different types of things to make myself more well-rounded, more valuable, learning every day and innovating and growing my skills to the next level to turn my passion into a higher purpose. So just remember, innovation is the bridge between where you are, where you're going, and where you want to be. So the next step is O for ownership. The moment you take responsibility for everything in your life is the moment you can change anything in your life. That's a quote by Hal Elrod, a motivational speaker. Ownership is accountability. Ownership is saying, this is my life and it's mine to shape. This is my business and it's mine to build. And my results are all mine to create. You guys, there's no excuses, no waiting for permission, no relying on motivation alone. Ownership is one of the hardest but most empowering parts of turning passion into purpose. It's the difference between drifting and just letting things happen or hoping it works out and taking ownership of your life and your business and your passion and your purpose and where you want to be. So let's talk about a moment when I stepped fully into ownership. First off, leaving my job in New York City, making a lot of money, working on craft foods and big accounts, was doing well, but wasn't happy, wasn't doing what I truly wanted to do. I wasn't heading towards my purpose and I wasn't following my passion. So I left that job, launched my brand back in 2012, officially the Artful Gourmet. I'm going to do this. I'm going to take all the steps I need to take, networking, learning, creating, growing, having patience to get this brand off the ground. And after 12 years, it was a huge success. And it still is. You have to take ownership of what you're learning, what you do. Invest in your creative skills. Invest in new skills that you may need to do. You might not even be a creative business, but you want to learn new things. Take the step to do it. Another thing I've learned to do is setting boundaries. You need to set boundaries with people and with things and with jobs and with relationships that are no longer serving you. And when people take advantage, you need to put that to a stop. You need to have boundaries and you need to stay within them. And if it means letting go of people, situations, jobs, like I said, that don't serve you because you're not happy or it's not working out, then don't do it anymore. You have the right to create your life the way you want it. Only you own your life. No one else owns you. And even if you work for a full-time job, they don't own you. Only you know your goals and only you know what you want and where you want to be, what your passion is and what your purpose is. So if that job you're in, you're not going anywhere, you're stuck, it's toxic, it's horrible, or even if it's not horrible, it's just boring, or you're not learning, you're not growing, get out. Go do what you want to do because you only have one life and you are the author of your own story. So just remember, believing in yourself, having a voice, doing what you need to do to get to where you want to go. Own it. Ownership turns your passion into progress, and your progress is going to take you to your ultimate goal and your purpose. So the last step is letter N for notable. Quote by Sally Hogshead, motivational speaker: "Don't be the best, be the only." She says, different is better than better. Win the moment. Impress and influence. Disrupt and defy. Inspire and aspire. Over-deliver, outthink, and outperform. Yes, it's good to be better, but it's better to be different. That's a good one. And actually, it's something that Rudy talked about in his mastermind also, is to disrupt. Do something different. Be unique. Be notable. Be remarkable. You want people to remember you. You want to build a legacy. Notable means remarkable, distinguished, prominent. It means becoming the superstar of your own life, creating a legacy through the work you put into the world. Notable isn't about ego. It's about impact. It's about aiming to be the kind of creative, artist, entrepreneur, or human who stands out because you're authentically you, because your work has a signature, and because people remember how you made them feel. When I think about my story and how I've grown as a business person and to where I am now from where I first started, I always wanted to be notable. I think back to when I was even a little kid. I told you guys, I wanted to be on Broadway. I wanted to be a ballerina. I wanted to live in New York City. I always knew I wanted to do something great. And when I went to New York City when I was 11, my aunt flew me there for my birthday. I told you guys that story. I was in awe. I was stoked. I was like, you know what? This city is magical. There's a big, huge world of opportunities out there that I want to do. I want to travel. I want to be notable. It's not about just me wanting to be famous, a celebrity. That's not it. But doing something great. And you know what? There's a friend of mine from high school, P.A.S.I.O.N, who's actually an amazing jazz musician. You can hear him on Spotify. We went to high school together. And I'll never forget, I was out. I think I was 21, 22, had just graduated from college. Came home to Rochester for about 6 months before I moved to Atlanta. Wasn't really sure where I wanted to go yet. I wanted to go to New York, LA, Atlanta. I ended up going to. But before that, you know, me and my friends, we would go out down on Park Avenue. We were at this really cool bar called Blades. And it was this outdoor area. Everybody went every Friday night. It was like we were living the dream of a 21-year-old right out of college, right? And I just remember Deepak coming up to me and saying, "Chris, you need to go to Atlanta. You're thinking about it, or New York." He's like, "You need to go make something big out of yourself and your life." And you know what? I still remember that 25 years later, maybe longer, that stuck in my mind. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. I do want to do something great with my life. And actually, my cousin Kim, who's no longer with us, God bless her, she said the same thing to me too. She said, you know what, Chris? You need to do something great. You need to go follow your dreams and do something great with your life. And you know what? Those things stuck with me. I always had it in me that I wanted to do something great. But those words of affirmation and encouragement from a friend and a relative, like I still remember that. And those things, those words have always fueled me. And I believe in myself. And I know that I want to be notable and different and unique. And I don't fit in a mold. That's why I don't work out in corporate jobs. I'm not good with just working a 9 to 5, following the herd, following the rules, just sort of hanging back and letting someone else in a big company tell me what to do with my life and direct me how to work. No, you know what? I have a passion and a purpose, and I want to be notable and different and remarkable and build a legacy, just like I was doing with this TV show, Legacy Makers, Women in Power. I want to make a mark in the world, and I want you guys to do that for yourselves too. So just remember, notability comes from consistency, courage, and commitment to your craft. So when you combine all 7 pillars, purpose, alignment, spirit, surprise, innovation, ownership, and being notable, that spells out passion. you turn your passion into something deeper, something sustainable, something that fuels your life with meaning and beauty. And your passion becomes your purpose, and your purpose becomes your path, and your path becomes your legacy. So today, ask yourself, where is my passion calling me? And how can I take the next step today to turn that passion into purpose? Thank you so much for spending this time with me on the Artful Gourmet podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with someone who could use a spark of inspiration today. That helps keep me motivated, that I'm helping other people, and to keep creating content that motivates, inspires, and helps you like it's helped me in my life and in my business. Don't forget to subscribe, share, like, follow, hit the bell, all the things that really keeps me inspired to keep doing the things I'm doing. And as always, keep living, keep creating, and keep believing in your artful life, and always live with passion.